Welcome to the Spiral Up podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Lachelle Wieme, a peak performance coach and business strategist dedicated to helping you see what's possible within you, the blind spots that are holding you back, and the solutions to ensure success and fulfillment without the hustle. I use my secret sauce of metaphysics, brain science, and scripture to work with God to manifest your ideal life and business. If you're ready to create massive forward momentum in your business and bust through the blocks that drag you down, join me on the Spiral Up journey and create the clarity, confidence, and consistency to become the CEO that lives your life by design. It's time to create the sustainable impact, income, and time freedom you desire faster. Now is the time to spiral up. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Spiral Up podcast. I am so excited to introduce you to my guest, Heather McNally, today, you guys. She is such a inspirational, authentic badass, and I cannot wait for you guys to hear all about her. But first, I just wanted to say that Heather and I actually are working together. So Heather is one of my Spiral Up students. And I asked her, I called her up actually last night. I had something completely different planned. You guys are getting that theme lately, right? But I just have to go with what my gut is telling me. And I was like, Heather, girl, your program is launching in a couple of days. I need to make sure that people know who you are and what you're about. And just to share your story, because it's so inspiring that I had to have you on the show. So welcome, girlfriend.
Thank you so much, Lachelle. I'm super excited. Yeah, the call last night was a surprise, and I was absolutely thrilled. I am blessed beyond belief to know you and to be here today. So thank you.
Yes, and you and I actually met, a year ago when I was a guest speaker for one of your network marketing and leadership retreats, and your upline had hired me to come in and train. And I remember you were the most enthusiastic, involved, participant in this retreat. And I was like, oh my God, I love this girl. So tell me a little bit about what happened inside of your heart, inside of your brain after that training, because you ended up following me to California when I spoke a couple of months later. So tell us a little bit about that, whole process in your brain.
Yeah, I started fangirling out. I had been thinking about what I wanted for my life. And this retreat was for my MLM, but there was more. There was something else. And as soon as you started talking, I just felt this this connection. And I know by the end, I was giving you the hearts and all the love. And I was like, I need to follow you. I need to get to know you. And I think I need everything that you represented in my life. So I reached out to somebody that's a mutual friend that I knew had worked with you and asked how I could get in touch with you. And she gave me the information. The rest is history.
Yes. Oh my gosh. And that was so fun. So I had written my book last year, and you came to California to see me speak at a conference that I was able to share that book with, which you guys are going to be getting a very special announcement regarding Get Out of God's Way, my book, here very shortly. So just stay tuned for that. I haven't quite announced it yet, but you guys are going to be the first to know, so don't worry. But Heather had read the book, and she decided that she was going to join me in California, and she was going to see me speak personally. And one of the things that I've always loved about you, Heather, is that you just freaking figure out a way, which is how I know you're my people, right? Because you're all right, where are my frequent flyer miles? Where are my hotel points? I'm going to make sure that I get there. Tell us a little bit about that whole experience of when we got a chance to get to know each other and what that did to propel you forward to the next steps.
Absolutely. I tend to, when I make a decision, I tend to go all in. I call it whole hog. I'm jumping in whole hog. And I knew that I had this inkling in my mind for years about maybe doing a blog, maybe doing something. And it just kind of grew from a little tiny seed into it was just really on my heart that this is what I needed to do. And so when I heard you speak, even though you were addressing a group of ladies who were in a direct sales business, it was so much more than that for me. And it just sparked from there. And so when you announced that you were going to be doing this, speaking at this women's event, I knew I had to go. And then you wrote the book, and I was already involved in your life, but kind of, a little bit periphery. I hadn't jumped in yet.
Yeah.
I was dipping my toes in, and that was it. I just knew I had to do this. And there was nothing that was going to stop me. So I spoke to my husband and I said, I have to do this. Some people thought I was nuts. You're going, across the country, because I live on the East Coast of Massachusetts. You're going to California to meet somebody you've never met before. Yep, I am, because I just knew it was going to be something that I needed and it would change my life. And I was so right. So reading your book, getting to meet you, getting to connect with you and other women, being in a room with all these other women who were speaking the same thing that I had on my heart, and everybody in attendance was feeling the same, I knew it was the right thing.
Yeah.
And that's it. Just look back.
What was it about this book that really made you feel connected to me?
Well, you're very real. You're very honest and open. You're vulnerable. That's all very much my language.
Yeah.
You made it simple in terms of looking in your heart and looking to where you are in the world, and how to connect with yourself and, to God and the universe and other people. And it just spoke to me. I read it now twice.
Love you so much. And that's just it, right? It's just like when we connect with other women who just feel this inner, just inner feeling of we're made for more. Like there is more to life than this. And it doesn't even mean that we're unsatisfied or that we don't have a great life. It's just this longing for this or something better. And that's one of the things that I love to tell people, is that it doesn't mean that I'm discontented. Now, sometimes we are discontented and that, propels us into action. But it doesn't even need to be that way. It's literally, for me, it's like, I am so happy and grateful for what I have, and I'm excited for what's to come. And it's like when we start to surround ourselves with other people who feel this inner just drive of seeing what's possible, like there's no stopping us. And that's what I absolutely love about you.
Oh, well, thank you. And I love that about you. Your energy always brings my energy up. Even when I'm feeling great, I hang up from a call with you, I see you, and I'm just even more elevated. And I love how you talk about the because
Yes.
you could be happy in your life, but still want something else.
Yes.
And that doesn't diminish what you have.
Yeah.
It just adds to it. It's the and.
Absolutely. And so you had, just kind of like fast forwarding the journey, you had attended one of my master classes. I think it was a Success Seekers masterclass. And we had a breakthrough call, and you had come to me with this vision of starting a blog that you had been wanting to do for a really long time. You had already founded your company, Simply Live Positive. So it wasn't like, you were completely new to everything, but you're just like, okay, this is what I want. Can you help me like formalize my plan with this?
Mhm.
And I'm like, absolutely. But we started working together. So you signed up for my Spiral Up program, my signature program, and you attended my Costa Rican retreat, which was amazing, right? I'm like, Heather's having FOMO because she's not coming in February, but we do have one more spot. So I'm just gonna like show, like shine that out there with you. Like if you want to apply for that last spot, like definitely get a hold of me.
Do it.
What her thoughts are on that. But after the retreat and after joining Spiral Up, something completely shifted in you, Heather. Why don't you tell us a little bit about where your vision for yourself was and where it is now?
So I will start by saying that my mother was an educator. She taught elementary education, and that's what I wanted to do. And fast forward to, I ended up switching majors, switching schools, and have a psychology degree.
Yeah.
And so I ended up with, my own kids, being a stay-at-home mom, loving all of that, caring for my mom. And through all of that, I started to realize that I went from a very unhappy person in my life with myself. It was kind of interesting. I loved my family. I loved that part of my life. I loved my mom. I loved taking care of her, but I wasn't happy with myself. And as time went on, I learned lessons. And as we all do, or hopefully do. And I started to think, I have some things I could say about going through life and changing your attitude and becoming happier and finding who you are. And I thought, well, maybe I'll write a blog, and if it can help one person out there, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
And after working with you and starting to see the potential, and you start to realize that there are things placed on you. There are things out there for you that you didn't even dream of. I started to think, well, maybe I want to start coaching. So I started looking into that. And the next thing you know, I'm back where I started in the beginning, where I want to educate people. And I want to educate people on how you can go through that tough time or be unhappy or not love yourself and find your way out of that and find your happy.
Absolutely. And I love this because you're now a speaker, you're now a coach, and it's like, and like, yeah, we'll get to a blog, eventually. Like, it was just like this really cool thing where I started to watch you completely take your current company, the Simply Live Positive that you're a founder of, and completely just like blow it up. And I that's one of my like, I don't know, my gifting that I've gotten from God is that I get to see what's possible in people even before they can see it in themselves. I can cast vision. Like, Heather, do you see this? And, I remember this work that we did early on where you started to, you were like, oh my gosh, like, I don't know if I could do this or this or this. And we started to list out all of your certifications, all of the courses that you've taken. And you're just like, yeah. Like,
yeah, absolutely. And it's wild. And I will say, I've definitely, I look at you and I look at some of the amazing speakers and podcasters and authors out there. And, there is that part of me that's always been like, well, that's because they had something, or they had somebody that helped them, or they were born into it, or they just have something special. And then I started to realize, after listening to everybody and really letting myself let that sink in, that everybody worked for it. They weren't born with a silver spoon in their mouth where they just got everything. They worked for it. And to hear everybody's stories is what is so inspiring to me. I love listening to you talk about your experiences and reading your book and your vulnerabilities. And it's just like, wow, okay. There is that possibility for me. Whereas for so long in my life, I didn't think it was there. Once you get, especially a mentor like you, who allows you and helps you bring out the possibilities and see them, it's like mind blowing.
Yes. And I just love that. And so I'm just going to say that Heather does workshops. She teaches, she does such a great job speaking. And so if that's something that you're interested in, like, certainly reach out to her for that. But what I wanted to talk to you about today specifically is a new program that you are kicking off, and it's called Healthy, Happy, and Whole. And Happy, healthy,
whole. Yep.
Whole. And what I love about it is that it's taking all of the cool stuff that because you are certified with John Gordon in positivity, you have all kinds of credentials when it comes to psychology, brain science. You are learning all the cool quantum physics stuff because we geek out on all of that stuff, right? So it's like all of this cool stuff that you have taken through a lifetime of learning and things that you've, worked with and taught in the past. And you created this big, beautiful program about how to help people really cut through the BS positivity, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And really become happy, healthy, and whole. And the thing I love about you specifically, Heather, is that you come with this, you have this giant heart. We got to know each other really well in Costa Rica. You have a giant heart. Like, you just want to help people, but you also are just like this cool, authentic, Massachusetts girl. And you're like, I'll tell you how it is. And, you're just like, I'm not here to fluff anything. Like, you're just like, let's do this. And I love that about you so much, because that's how I am too. And I want to highlight this whole premise. When we were working with your brand, we're like, girl, you are beyond BS positivity. Right. And so it just it all made so much sense, because you and I both know that BS can mean a couple of different things. Right. So why don't you tell people that, beyond BS positivity, what that means?
Right. So I will say, yes, I'm a Massachusetts girl, just south of Boston, and my name is Heather, but it used to be Heather. Um, and yeah, I've got that Boston accent when I want to. Um, so I will say that for me, beyond BS positivity can mean exactly what you might think. It's beyond bullshit positivity.
Yeah.
And when I say that, I don't mean fake.
Right.
Um, not the toxic positivity, but the real positivity, the things that you can find in your life that you can look at and say, wow, yeah, I can look at it this way, and try to make yourself happier. It's not about fluff.
Right.
I don't want people living, a fake life and putting
Right.
on airs. And it's also beyond BS positivity can stand for belief systems. So by the time we're 6 or 7, we have a lot of our limiting belief systems already placed within us. And it's not to hurt or harm us. It's just what our brain processes as we're these little young children and we learn the world through those that we're surrounded by, our family, our parents, guardians. And we have to become aware
Yeah.
of those belief systems
Yeah.
before we can be able to change them. So
Um,
that's what it's about, is getting beyond those belief systems, getting beyond the bullshit, and owning who you are and your happiness in your life.
Absolutely. And so one of the things that really makes you unique, and for those of you guys who are just like, okay, I'm not happy, I'm not content in my life, I feel like there's more, but Heather, but Lachelle, like you don't know what I've been through. And I
Mhm.
want Heather for you to just give us a glimpse into your life and the things that really formed your belief systems, because you mentioned earlier in the conversation that you didn't love yourself. And the belief systems that are formed when we're small, like you mentioned, are really foundational in the way that we view ourselves. So tell us a little bit about that part of your life and even who you were as a person several years ago before you started to make the shifts, because now what you want to do is you want to teach people what you did to get out of that yucky place. So tell us a little bit about your upbringing and then where you were a couple of years ago when you were at your lowest.
Okay, yeah, it was definitely a yucky place. So first of all, I will say that my father was very abusive. So I came from a family of a father who lied about who he was, lied about his ethnicity because he was embarrassed, lied about a lot of things. And I grew up not knowing his family because he told us all that they were terrible people. But beyond that, he was very abusive. He was physically abusive, but you can heal from that. It's terrible and it plays with your psyche, but you can heal from that, hopefully. Um, the emotional I found was much harder for me because this is the person who is supposed to love you unconditionally. And his love was beatings and telling me a lot of things that I was, in his opinion. So that I was the reason for the fighting in the house, that I did everything wrong. And I got some mixed messages because he would tell me how smart and intelligent I was and how beautiful I was, but then turn around and say the opposite. So every time, my parents had a fight, it was my fault. Every time my younger brother did anything wrong, it was my fault because I was the eldest. So I will be honest, and I hated him. I hated him. Um, and it was interesting because my mom always tried to protect us. And my mom was such an amazing person, but she lived in a different mindset than I did.
Yeah.
It was kind of stand by your man, though she wasn't happy. And, I tried and tried to show her there is a different way in life. But she just made her choices. And unfortunately, her choices of being with him affected me, and his choices of being abusive affected me to the point where I just never had any self esteem. I hated myself. I was miserable. And to top it all off, on top of like a situational depression, I have clinical depression that actually runs in my family. So I spent my life being mousy, quiet, miserable, wanting something else for myself, but not knowing how to do it. And a perfect example of it was somewhere in my mid-20s. I remember someone asking me if I could do something. And my immediate response was, nope, I can't. Sorry. And I walked away from the situation and I realized, wait a minute. Like it was like one of those moments, the light bulb, the aha. And I was like,
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that. I just responded. Why can't I? It was because I was conditioned to say, nope, I can't, because I never could do anything. And so it was like, whoa. And that was a huge light bulb for me
Yeah.
that kind of started me on the journey of getting to where I am now, which
Yeah.
many years later, I finally like myself and I've learned to start loving myself. And it's so much better. But when people ask me, would you change having gone through the abuse and everything? Well, would I love to have a dad? Absolutely. Would I love to have wonderful memories? Absolutely. But it all brought me to who I am now, where I am.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, I went through all that. It was terrible. But I learned so much. Like everything you go through, you can take and learn and find something out of it. And so would I change it? I'd love to have great memories, but I am who I am because of it all.
Yeah. And that's one of the things that I found with years of doing the Unstuck podcast is people who had been through hard things found some kind of a lesson, some kind of a gift in it, because otherwise we stay victim to it. And that's, one of the things that I'm going to guess, focus on in your program is just that shifting of choosing to be a victim or choosing to be a victor in your circumstances. And I want to get to, those tools in just a moment. But you had mentioned to me in the past, like your mom was dying and you were in a really tough place in general. And so I want to have you describe, like you've already described a little bit about how you felt about yourself and you were depressed, but describe a little bit more about what that felt like so that the people who are listening can understand like the Heather before, and then to be able to appreciate the person that your guys are hearing from and seeing right now. So Heather, described a little bit about that version of you.
Okay. So my mom was my best friend, my patient, and my mom. And I adored her. And when she was healthy, we used to go shopping together, go out to lunch together, all these things, cook together, always putting on events and everything. And, she had been sick. She had unfortunately became legally blind at the age of 40. So I was 15 and I had to drive her, a lot of places. She had to depend on a lot of people. And that definitely gave me a perspective in life. And then she had been always diagnosed with asthma. And we kept telling her, this isn't how asthma behaves. But eventually, after being admitted to the hospital with a pneumonia, she was diagnosed with advanced COPD. And this is tough to accept and swallow because, first of all, that means mortality. And obviously, everybody faces that, but in such a terrible way was really hard to see. And because she was such an amazing person, there was no known etiology. She didn't smoke, live with smokers, didn't work in an environment that contributed to it. And there are some medical background things that could contribute to it, but they could never figure out what it was. So she ended up getting admitted to the hospital, and they said, we can do a workup for you and see if you can get a lung transplant, which she qualified for, and she did get. Through all of this, I became her caretaker. 100%. I went to every single appointment with her, which oftentimes was weekly, sometimes more, in and out of Boston, in and out of the hospital. And I had to drop a lot in my life. Fortunately, I was a stay-at-home mom, but my husband did have to take on additional responsibilities on top of his full-time job to take care of the kids and everything so I could be there with her. I don't regret a second of it. I loved her. I was able to help her, and I will never be able to look back and regret a second of it. However, being a very negative person at that time in my life, I mean, negative, very angry, very unhappy, hated myself, hated my father even more because not only what I went through, but because he really wasn't there for her. But took all the credit for being there for her. It was really difficult. And it was difficult because when she did go through all this, I had to kind of cut off a lot of other people in my life in terms of seeing them, because I had to make sure that I didn't get sick to give her anything. Because she was now immune suppressed. And over time, she was doubly immune suppressed because she ended up in kidney failure. And it was really, really hard because, you're now isolating yourself even more, which I definitely tended to do when I was depressed anyway. So I would withdraw and withdraw and withdraw and get angry and angrier and angrier and angrier. So it was a really hard time because I was missing out on things in my kids' lives. I was missing out on things in my friends' lives. My mom was dying. My husband's having to do extra and I'm feeling guilty about it. It just all added on, added on, added on. So the person that I was then, who I still loved to help people, was just lost, completely lost. And I don't know that I ever had known who I was before then anyway. I identified myself as a daughter, a mom, a wife, a friend, but who was Heather? And so Heather was lost and miserable and angry and hurting and just a raw nerve, really.
Yeah. And I know the Heather that I know now, and you are strong and brave and inspirational. And like I said, I mean, you're speaking, you're a coach, you have this amazing program. I watch your determination, your resilience. You're an amazing mom. You're an amazing friend. And you just exude happiness and you exude positivity, even though you're still faced with some darts of, crappy things that throw at you. I mean, you and I were in the process of creating your new program, and you have some things that you're dealing with in your personal life with your grown children. And, you were like, oh, how do I even know that? How did I even ever, know that it was going to be so hard to see your grown children go through things, right? And you didn't give up. You didn't say, Lachelle, let's just put this on the back burner. You're like, no, people need this, and I need to help these people, and let's keep going. And so that's who you are now. And it's just it gives me goosebumps. Right now, I have goosebumps to see who you are. I can't even imagine this woman that you're describing, because I've, in the time that I've known you, I can't even see that. And so I just want you guys all who are listening to know that it is possible. And Heather has graciously decided to put together a very intentional program that puts together all of the pieces that it took for her to get from that raw nerve, that unhappy, lost, low self-confident person, to who she is now. And she wants to take you on that journey too. So Heather, why don't you tell us a little bit more about what Happy, Healthy, Whole, what is all involved with this? Because, people might have some assumptions, and I love your spin on each one of these categories. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your program?
Okay, so don't mind me when I have to refer to my notes, because I want to make sure I get it all. But basically, Happy, Healthy, Whole is going to be a virtual on Zoom 12-week program. And it's going to meet 1 hour a week on Thursday nights, 7:30 East Coast time, to go over the 3 different categories. And we're going to do 4 weeks of each: happiness, health, and whole. So basically, we're going to be talking about assessing your happiness. Where are you at? And where are the different places in your life that you feel you need something, whether it be you're lost in your, relationship, you just don't know who you are, you're giving to everybody else and you're not taking anything for yourself. We're going to be talking about the science of that, psychology, positive psychology. We're going to be talking about goal setting. We're going to be talking about some fantastic things with a guest speaker that I have coming on, who's going to be
so honored to be a part of that.
So lucky. And everybody who participates is so lucky to have you come on and talk about happiness and quantum physics and energy. And we're going to be talking about gratitude, mindfulness, and things like that. Then we're going to move into health, where we are going to address emotional health, brain health, and physical health. And none of it is going to be, I don't want anyone to be turned off by the thought of physical health, because I'm not coming on talking about going crazy and doing, CrossFit from coach to CrossFit or anything like that. Just basic ways to help take care of yourself and bring yourself to the next level in your health. And I do have a guest speaker coming on to talk about that, who is certified in both nutrition and physical health. So, and that's going to be fantastic.
What I love about your, like you tackle the physical health. That's why I'm saying I love your program so much. You're tackling the physical health, but you also are tackling the emotional health and the brain health. And I love like all of your brain science background, all of your psychology background is really going to help people to build those resilience muscles when it comes to that healthy brain, right? And how you can, because I mean, none of us are guaranteed that things aren't going to happen in our lives, but how can we be able to overcome them? And the emotional health is so important too. I mean, we're just getting off the holidays, and I don't know about you guys like listening, but Heather and I have talked at length of, there's family drama in every family. I don't care who you are. Like, I'm going to just bet that there's some family drama in every family. And when we get to the holidays, it can become a really stressful situation. And so when you are emotionally healthy, you were able to handle certain people. You're able to have healthy boundaries. You're able to be able to get out of that all or nothing thinking and be able to figure out how you want to choose to handle certain things, or how do you respond. Emotional intelligence, emotional health is how you respond to situations in a mature, healthy manner. And all of those things are so freaking important and so applicable to anybody and everybody. And if you're just like sick and freaking tired of having to be subject to somebody else's drama, subject to somebody else's crap, subject to all of the things that are thrown at you in your life, in your health, in your relationships, in your self-confidence, all of that stuff, like you're giving people the tools to get out of survival and into thriving. And I get goosebumps again, like, girlfriend, like people need this. And
Absolutely.
I'm so and then
Absolutely.
and then the whole is
brain science. I have to say, I don't think people realize how important it is to keep your brain healthy. That actually will then keep your body healthy and your emotions healthy. So that's amazing. And yes, the family drama. I had it at Christmas this year, and old me could have definitely shut down, gone off into my room crying, and kind of lost my shit. But it was just decisions. What was more important to me? What do I want to get out of this? What am I going to do to make this a better situation? And the whole is we're going to talk a lot about different things that you can do to help yourself feel complete. What's your purpose? What are your habits that you want to keep and change? Things like that. So really finding a little bit more, I'm not going to fix everybody, but I want everybody to be able to find those tools that can help them make themselves one step better and one step happier, and continue building on that.
And I want to just like talk to the people who are listening, because, Heather and I, she created this whole program. My job has really been to help her to piece together the parts of her life that allow this to all fit. Like, it's been so much fun. And when I think about the people who are going to benefit from this, I want you guys to imagine that right now you are sitting here and you're listening to, like, I do find that I'm a little short with people. I do find that I get a little bit irritated. I do find that at the end of the day, like, I struggle finding things that I'm grateful for. I want you to be thinking about, like, okay, I do snap at people. I don't love looking at myself in the mirror. I don't feel complete, whole, fulfilled. I'm just not as happy as I thought I would be. And you find yourself feeling like you're a victim to all of the things that are around you, whether it be a health situation, a relationship, just feeling like lackluster in life. And all of those things are starting to really compound. And you're looking at this like, I don't know how I can live like this time next year.
Mm-hmm.
And you're just like, I just can't imagine the next 5, 10 years of this situation. I can't imagine wishing days or people or my life away. and you are ready to actually be able to say, I love myself, I love my life, I'm able to get through whatever comes my way, I have never been happier. And those are the things that I get to say, you guys, now, but that hasn't always been the case. And so I want you to just listen to this, and I want you to say to yourself, if I want next year to be different, if I want to be able to come to next year at New Year's and be like, now what? If you want to come to the next holiday and be like, I got this. If you want to start to be able to look at yourself in the mirror and say, I love you, then this is an opportunity that Heather is giving you guys to be able to spend 12 weeks with her and other women who understand exactly where you are and can give you guys the tools and the support and the encouragement that you need to have a completely different life at the end of this. So if you think about this, 90 days to a better life, like, who wouldn't want that? And so because I believe in Heather so much and I believe in what she's done, I mean, she's shown me her curriculum and it's blowing my mind. And I'm one of the guest speakers, and it's such an honor to be a part of this because I believe in this so much, Heather, that I wanted to tell you guys that Heather and I talked last night, and we decided that together we were going to allow for some scholarships for people to attend her program. And I believe in her so much. I'm like, all right, girl, let's do this, right? So Heather and I are going to be giving some scholarships away for people who want to be a part of her program, her 90-day program. And the cost of the 12-week, the 90-day program is normally $1,500, which is, in my mind, like, well, is worth twice that, honestly. I'm just going to say that, like, because if I think about like where I am and where I was, like, to know that could happen in 90 days is honestly not even, like, there isn't a price tag on that. But because Heather and I believe so much in the beginning of this new year and really wanting you guys to be able to have all of the tools that you need to get yourself there faster, we are going to be giving $1,000 scholarship. So you guys are going to be able to attend this 90-day program for $500. But we only have 10. So Heather and I are like, okay, like, how many can we do? And we decided that 10 was what we could swing. So if you guys are wanting to snag one of those $1,000 scholarships and have a completely different life, a completely different mindset, a completely different love and take on your purpose in 90 days, and you want to be able to take advantage of our generosity and what we believe in is going to help you, then I want you to go ahead and reach out to Heather. Heather is going to have a link in the show notes that we're going to be able to share with you guys to go ahead and register. And inside of the form, I just want you to put Spiral Up in the coupon code, and that will give you guys the opportunity to do, to be able to take advantage of one of these 10 scholarships. Once they're gone, and then it's still going to be worth the $1,500. Like, let's just be real. But I want to make sure that you guys have access to this. And your program starts when, Heather?
It's going to start Thursday, January 11th. So it's going to be every Thursday, the 12 weeks,
okay,
at 30 p.m. Eastern time on Zoom. So if you go on and register, we will be in touch. And I have to say, I'm so excited about this program, and I feel it in my bones. Like, I almost cried listening to you explain it. And I thought to myself, it was like this moment where I thought, oh, if I was only able to do it back then for myself, like, I would have jumped on that. So thank you for explaining it so well.
Yes, I mean, that's what I love about you, is that it's not something you've read in a book. Like, yeah, you have tons of book knowledge, you have tons of certifications, and you have gone through so many courses, like, and you have your degree in psychology. Like, there's so much, like, you have your brain, but the transformation that you've made in your own life is unbelievable. And all of the tools that you've used have gotten you here, and you just want to help other people do the same. And so you guys are not going to want to miss this. And Heather, it has been my absolute honor and privilege to be your coach, to be able to watch you completely blossom in even bigger ways. Like that's the cool thing about Spiral Up, you guys, is that we are continuing to spiral up. So even though Heather has done so much of this work on her own, I basically lit some accelerant onto her, and I was able to help her see new things that she didn't even know was possible, and to be able to mine out the amazingness that's already in her and help her to refine things with a few different strategies and a few different mindset shifts together. I've been able to watch her completely spiral up. And girl, like, I am so freaking proud of you.
Well, thank you so much, because the privilege has been mine. I've done a lot of work on myself over the years, and it's taken me a long time to get to that place where I could say I like myself, and I'm learning to love myself also. And we're all always a work in progress, but you have truly brought out in me things that I doubted, that I didn't think I had it all. And then you'd point it out and I still doubt it. And now I'm owning, and it's just been transformative. It's been absolutely incredible. It's been brought other amazing women and experts and experience into my life that I never would have had otherwise. And I can't say enough amazing things about the program.
Oh my gosh, I love it. So you guys make sure that you follow Heather. She is on TikTok. She is on Facebook, Instagram. You can get into her Facebook group, which is Beyond BS Positivity. And the link to get access to her amazing new program that's starting soon is going to be in the show notes. So go ahead and apply. Just put Spiral Up as a coupon code to get that $1,000 scholarship, or to be able to grab one of those 10 spots. And then stay tuned to a really amazing announcement that I have all about the Get Out of God's Way book. You're not going to want to miss it. So, oh my gosh, you guys, I love you all so much. Thank you so much for listening. Heather, thanks for inspiring all of us today.
Thank you so much.
So much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe and leave a review. Each honest review helps me spiral up so that I can serve you even better. Whether you're feeling a lack of impact, income, or time freedom, or perhaps you're just ready for massive momentum in your business, let's chat. Apply for a breakthrough call so that you can gain clarity, identify what's holding you back, and make a plan to spiral up. Head on over to iam-lifebydesign.com/breakthrough or access the link in the show notes. For immediate support, log into our community, the Better Club. We focus on inspiration, tactical guidance, and support. This is a community that wants to be better, do better, and have better in life and in business, and we're going to help you do the same. Let's spiral up, friends.